And that's why they call it Deja Vu. What's going on, everybody? This is the Coverbandconfidential podcast, the podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and suck less. From the future, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, actually, I think in the past.
Right,
I'm
we're
Dan
talking
Ray.
to the future, our future audience.
To the future, from the window to the wait.
No.
Oh.
This is where like Back to the Future doesn't make sense because you're not going back to anyway.
Yeah.
John Laney did a whole bit on that.
Yeah.
What we're trying to say is this is the second day in a row we've done an episode.
Yep.
So that we could make sure that you guys get covered. And so
between some travel we have coming up and whatnot, we're putting a couple in the can for
one in the can.
One theory, in theory, whatever.
It's just the one. So how's it going, Dan?
Gosh, I mean, so much has happened since we talked last night.
It's true.
Yeah, day off. Thank you, Martin Luther King, for everything, including this day off.
Yeah.
And laid back. Just played the longest game of Uno in my family's history. We had to reshuffle like 7 times. It's really
wow.
something.
Well, I did nothing because my family is gone.
Right.
They went and chased the snow, and snow it did. So they're having fun, and I am holding down the fort.
Cool.
You know, when you're like a parent, you don't really consider, as your children age, you give them more responsibilities. And our eldest does a lot. He helps out. But today I had to unload and reload the dishwasher, take the trash out to the street, and just like all the stuff that he normally does. Like, man, this sucks.
Yeah, I feel like
I had to feed the dogs.
Oh,
I had to feed the dogs.
Unbelievable.
These kids don't know how good they got it.
Kids
I'm
today.
sorry.
Kids
actually,
today.
we don't. I forgot how good I had it until
after you had kids to do the stuff for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Right.
So that's really the only thing that I did. I went to Walmart and bought a bunch of junk food I isn't normally allowed in the house, and did that for dinner, and now we're doing this.
All right.
I mean, it's pretty rad day all around.
Yeah.
As much fun as you can have sober.
Yeah. Bachelor day.
As dry January continues.
That's good for you.
So we're joking around that nothing has happened and we don't have much to talk about, but that's actually not true. We've got a couple of really interesting topics that just kind of fell into our laps overnight.
Yeah.
We talked about gear a little bit. We're going to be talking about gear a little bit more, but I did want to at least touch on this one announcement that happened this week from Laney. Laney is releasing an all new Fra guitar cab. They're claiming is the world's most powerful Fra guitar cab. It is a 412 powered speaker delivering 2,600 watts out of this thing.
I mean,
and it was developed with Devin Townsend at the helm, I guess. It's supposed to push out 139 decibels, which is just shy of a plane taking off.
Yeah, that seems excessive.
Really,
that seems like a lot.
Yep. And, it's an interesting prospect because theoretically it's a product that unfixes the problem that these modelers were supposed to solve.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So you use the term fra. Those of you who are not guitarists in the modeling world may not know that stands for flat range, full response. Flat range, full response. Flat response, full range. Whatever it is. They're not. They don't have the sound shaping qualities that a guitar amp usually has. It's just a speaker. It's a flat range speaker, and you plug it on the end of a modeler to get the amp tone that you're modeling out clean into vibrating air molecules. And the whole point of doing a modeler is that you're not blazes loud. Your stage can be quiet, and now you buy this thing and make your stage scream again. And I don't really understand the move.
Well, and it gets even more complicated because it also is an IR loader. And you can send IRs to the cabinet itself, and you can send a separate IR to front of house, which you're also running, by the way, because that was the whole point of using the modeler in the first place, as a clean signal straight to front of house without all that pesky stage volume.
Right.
So here's the thing. I understand, we're kind of joking about this, but to me, it is a very specific product for a very specific slice of musician. And based on even what the story is talking about, it's guys like Devin Townsend. They also dropped the Aristocrats, which is Guthrie Govan's band. Right. So this is for, I would say, B2C tier touring acts who are playing big rooms that could use a little bit of something behind them that is more than, your standard powered speaker would be. And of course, the aesthetics of having 412 cabs on stage.
So your suggestion then is that the power of this thing is because it's going to become part of the room PA setup.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's the room PA as much as it's a couple of things. When you're thinking about the way that sound moves, when my band plays in an ampless situation, the only sound that's being pushed out is from front of house, which is in front of us.
Right.
So that means that if you were standing directly in front of me, you were standing, equidistant between the two PA speakers, you can't really hear what's happening right in front of you. So this would give you the ability on a bigger stage to have a little bit of that being pushed from the stage. So those who are up closer have a better listening experience.
But just the guitar, not the house mix.
Well, theoretically, I mean,
you could listen, you could use it as a center wash, right? You could put a house mix through it, but then like, why think of it as a guitar tool at all?
It's an interesting prospect.
Yeah, I don't fully get it.
All right, think about this. I mean, like, okay, for the Aristocrats, like that's
a guitar act. That's a guitar act, right? Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty niche.
Well, but on kind of moving forward with this particular lane of work, the guys in Polyphia have cabs on stage.
Yeah.
And it's powering. Well, it's not powering. It's outputting the signal from their quad cortexes to the stage itself.
Right.
And I think they're using the Seymour Duncan Power Stage deals, and this would be less stuff. They're already bringing the cabs. They might as well bring powered ones, and that's less ampage that you've got to cart around and that kind of thing. So, that's something that is useful to them. And so they say that the riches are in the niches, and this is a pretty niche product.
Yeah. Do you think it's just, do those guys do that just because they like the feeling of the vibration on stage? They're all in ears. They're listening to their own mixes individually. It's not like they need stage volume to perform. But it's true, there is something to having a big speaker pounding at your body that feels like rock and roll in a way that a fully ampless stage feels a little sterile, even if your audio input is coming from wires. Is it just that? You
know what, Dan? I'm going to run into their guitar tech at NAMM. We've already spoken that we're going to hang out. So
Good.
I will ask him.
Good. Tell him I don't get it.
And I'll let you know.
Tell him I don't get it.
I sure will.
All right.
And I had reached out to him because he lives in LA, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm going to be at Ernie Ball. Let's meet up. So
cool.
I will do that myself.
Awesome. Any other exciting connections we should be excited about for your trip?
I don't know. I'm going with String Joy and have some connections with Victory Amps because they're kind of in that same group. And now I know somebody who's going to be over at Ernie Ball. So, that's where a lot of, it's where Petrucci and all the cool guitar internet folks are going to be. So maybe I'll get to hang out there. Who's to say? No idea.
That's cool.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Meet new and exciting people.
Random exciting stuff happening on the show floor.
Absolutely. So yeah, just an interesting piece of gear. Like, we had talked about the FRs that Fender put out.
Yep.
And they're pretty rad. And it's the closest I've gotten to considering it. But this to me is like blown past, like you've blown the stop sign. It's way beyond that.
Yeah.
I guess time will tell if they sell any.
Yeah.
Well, you start seeing them on stages or TV shows and that kind of thing. Time will tell.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to reviews. This one is from Jeb, and it says, fantastic content and info for cover band members. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. I'm a bit late to the show, but I just finished about a 3-month marathon where I listened to all episodes up to this point.
Oof, Jeb.
Who is in the description. It's in the review.
Woo.
So
yeah.
Adam and Dan have such valuable information. I'm sorry, Dan and Adam have such valuable information. I misread that out of arrogance, hubris. But yes, you got top billing. Dan and Adam have such valuable information and experiences that they share to help cover bands along their own respective journey. Whether you are a band leader or just a member of a band, you will learn valuable lessons of how to be a better band and how to better market your band. Highly recommended for motivated live music purveyors. Big thanks to Jeb for the kind words. If you would like to hear your name shouted out in the show, leave a review. We always love to hear about it.
Yep. Before we go any further, I do have one kind of update, kind of interesting thing that happened out of our conversation last week that was chronologically last night. Right. So you brought up having a bunch of people reaching out to you about the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day, March 16th, I believe. And that reminded me that there was a bar we played St. Patrick's at last year. It was super fun. We crushed. Really, really good time.
Nice.
And I thought, I should just reach out to him and just see what's going on. So even while we were talking, I was multitasking last night and sent him an email. This guy, when I've corresponded with him by email, I'm a talky guy. I don't know if you noticed. And I'm talky in emails too. I'm a little chatty in what I say in emails. And I'll just kind of write a couple of paragraphs about what's on my mind. And he always replies with one-liners. And so I got to where, in my interactions with him, this is also the place I was doing the trivia every week for half the year. I got in my interactions with him to where I was literally just giving it back exactly as terse as he gave it to me. Just, if that's how he engages with email, I want to engage exactly on his terms, right? I don't want to make him read my paragraphs. So I literally last night emailed, hey man, I'm paraphrasing myself, but it was like, hey man, got plans for St. Pat's. Looks like most people are doing the 16th. What do you think? And he came back and said, cool, good, hours, money. I replied, booked. And it was literally, within couple of hours, I had my St. Patrick's Day gig booked.
Like 20 words or less.
20 words or less. Yeah, because I took action, but also because I know how this guy, like I've had times before when I wrote a typical Dan email and it was like a week to get him to respond, because I'm sure it was sitting there in his mailbox. He'd like open it up and go, ugh. Like he's got a million things going on. He runs a bar, there's a lot to do. So if I can just bullet point it for him, and he can come back to me in bullet points, awesome. So we're booked for that. I also said, hey, I know weekly, solo stuff's a lot, but maybe we can look at one-off dates. He has not replied about that. But I wanted to just share that's a thing that I realized I'd learned when I got that response. Like, oh, I'm talking that dude's language. And I think that's as important as anything else in terms of starting a booking wave. That's my tag-on thought to last week.
For sure. But it is kind of funny because I just get a text message first thing this morning that is basically Dan confirming that he also got booked for the 16th. And if you remember, I was like, if you haven't gotten something, it's coming.
Yep.
And, not 12 hours beyond that. It was a done deal. So that was fun. All right. With that being said, let's get into the topic of this week's episode. This one is, this could be the first time this has ever happened.
I've never seen it before.
It was a news story that crossed my desk and I was just so taken by it. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, we have to talk about this. It was there was no alternative topic to cover once I saw this. So this apparently happened about a month ago, and I just wasn't aware of it. But it's too good to not discuss. So do you remember the band The Hives, Dan?
Vaguely. You asked me that question before we started recording. I went back and listened to some, and I remember some of that music. Yeah.
If you're not familiar with them, they are a Swedish garage rock band. They were kind of big in the 2005 to 2008 time period when all the bands were just taken over. Very sharp-suited Swedish gentlemen playing nasty rock and roll, and their lead singer is the funniest, just cockiest frontman out right now, and they're super fun to watch. But anyway, they posted this a few weeks ago on their social media, like all over the place. It says, the Hives official franchise rock show. The Hives franchise needs you. We have arrived at a point where the Hives can no longer keep up with public demand for concerts. This is where you come in. So they're saying people want us so much and we can't give it to them.
Yeah.
And they need our help.
Yeah.
Help us create a world where the Hives are playing in every city all the time. Let's make business together and rock and roll. Sign up now and register your interest. Many rewards wait in store. We have spoken. The Hives. And so there's a link to a page on their website from this post. And when you go there, what does it say, Dan?
Well, there's a great picture of them in these suits with reflective sort of stripes on them, looking sharp. And it says, the Hives franchise. We are excited at the very real scenario in which the Hives are playing everywhere in the world all the time. Q1 and Q2 of 2024, looking very exciting. So, what next? Well, follow the very simple steps below and help us realize rock and roll utopia together. And what follows is a set of bullet points. Form your own The Hives franchise cover band. Rehearse as much as seems necessary. I love that. Throw a concert in your local bar, backyard, parking lot, living room, or other place. The bigger the better. Charge money and keep it if you want.
So this doesn't seem like there's any sort of revenue share.
No, it doesn't seem like it. Next bullet. Perform a cover of our song, Two Kinds of Trouble, and film it horizontally.
Hmm.
And finally, submit your performance here. There's a link here.
Yeah.
Goes to a Google form. The best will be included in the official music video. The ground rules are simple. You must be wearing an outfit resembling some of the Hives era on-stage attire. To help you in your quest, here's the official guitar tab and lyrics. And what follows is the lyrics and tab of their new single, Two Kinds of Trouble. Had you heard that single? Or are you familiar with that song?
I know that I've crossed some of their social posts recently, but I'm not sure if I was familiar with that particular song, Two Kinds of Trouble.
Well, I put it on as we were preparing to hit the record button here, and yeah, it's a banger. If it doesn't really meet my standards of people know it, but maybe that's only because there aren't cover bands in every corner of the planet playing it. That could be. This is a very clever way to market a new single. It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. So, as you're kind of reading through it, I'm like, where are they going with this? And as soon as it was perform a cover of our song, and it's a song I didn't recognize, I was like, oh, okay. So this is a way to promote their new song. When was the last time any band ever reached out directly to the cover band community writ large?
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
And it's such an interesting situation because, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to get people to buy into your song, like reach out to the people that are playing music in every town every night of the week.
Yeah.
And it's genius, really. Like I'm really kind of flabbergasted.
Yeah. Well, and
one, at the simplicity of the strategy and just how nobody's thought of it before.
And then the way the video makes itself, you're going to get video submitted from everybody, and that's what the official music video is going to be. It's kind of genius.
And there's crowdsourcing of footage for music videos is kind of, there's a lot of that going on right now. Yeah. The Marvelous Three guys, for their reunion, they were asking for all that kind of stuff. And it did make it into the live show. The video component of their concert was incredible. But yeah, the sourcing of material for music videos, genius way to go about it.
Yep.
And it really is just like an interesting prospect. And I'm not sure who on their team came up with the idea, but to reach out to the guys and gals who are out there just doing this kind of work is revolutionary. It's a genius move. And I've been in bands that have covered the Hives. And if we were still doing something like that, I would heavily consider putting something like that together. It'd be a lot of fun.
Got to figure out the suits is all.
Yeah, that is the only challenge. Now, I mean, I've been in a band where everybody wore, snazzy suits, but it's been a while. I don't know if it fits anymore. I'd have to get 5 more. So.
Right.
Well, I again, this is fantastic. And my hope is that other musicians, bands do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've already talked about how opening stuff that would normally be insular and band centric to the public can get you a fair amount of publicity. That's why Smashing Pumpkins are doing what they're doing. I swear I have seen so many live streams of people playing Smashing Pumpkins songs.
Huh.
They're just everybody is out there. They're going for it.
Okay,
hard.
Good.
I know multiple folks who have actually turned in legit, materials and stuff.
Awesome.
So, maybe this is the beginning of us getting more say or get to participate more in the annals of the industry or what have you.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, shout out to the Hives for coming up with it. And I'll definitely be putting this on socials so that, they at least see that we care. So, Well, that's all that I got. I think that's great. Well, we had kind of talked about another thing, which was this week there was an article called The Economics of a Cover Band in Forbes magazine, which was pretty insane. It turned out that it wasn't so much about the economics of being in a cover band. Yeah. It was more just it
was a profile of a really, really good Led Zeppelin tribute.
And more power to them.
For sure.
But just think about the fact that you could do something in a cover band that warrants enough attention that somebody at Forbes writes a story about you.
Yeah. Crazy.
So, this is very uplifting. We're you guys, the sky's the limit. There's no the people at the top and the rest of us, we're all the same. Look, we're all kind of on the same plane.
And we're in the zeitgeist, cover bands are getting finally the respect they deserve because Forbes magazine says so.
On another note, I was listening to an interview with that Mark Maron released this week with Billy Joe Armstrong. Huh. And Billy Joe talks a lot about he's got a cover band and he's like, I love playing covers.
Yeah.
they're just figuring out what we already know.
That's right. Exactly.
That's where the fun is.
Yeah.
So cover bands rip, and that's all there is to it.
Excellent.
Wrap it up on that one. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. If you want to support the show, you could do it a number of ways, but the best way is to do the way that Mike Schulte says. So we'll let him do that now. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You have been listening to the Coverband Confidential podcast for the week of January 26, 2024.